Reading through the Bible in 1 year, May 11th, Numbers 20, Psalm 58 through 59, Isaiah chapter 9, verse 8 through 10, through chapter 10, verse 4, and James chapter 3. The entire Israelite community entered the wilderness of Zin in the first month. They settled in Kadesh. Miriam died and was buried there. There was no water for the community, so they assembled against Moses and Aaron again. And the people quarreled with Moses and said, "If we had only perished when our brothers perished before the Lord. Why have you brought the assembly, the Lord's assembly, into this wilderness for us, and our livestock to die here? Why have you led us up from Egypt to bring us to this evil place?" It's not a place of grain, figs, vines, and pomegranates, and there is no water to drink. Then Moses and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly to the doorway of the tent of meeting, and they fell face down, and the glory of the Lord appeared to them. The Lord spoke to Moses. "Take the staff and assemble the community. You and your brother Aaron are to speak to the rock while they watch, and it will yield its water. You will bring out water for them from the rock and provide drink for the community and their livestock." So Moses took the staff from the Lord's presence, just as he had commanded him. Moses and Aaron summoned the assembly in front of the rock, and Moses said to them, "Listen, you rebels. Must we bring this water out of this rock for you?" Now, Moses sinned here. Do you remember what he had said before? He said, take the staff, assemble a community, and then he says, speak to the rock while they watch, and the water will come out. He's supposed to speak to it. However, he said, "Must we bring this water out of the rock for you?" As if Moses himself had the power to do this. In this he is sinning. And then he does another thing. Then he raised his hand and struck the rock twice with his staff, so that abundant water gushed out, and the community and the livestock drank. But the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Because you didn't trust me to demonstrate my holiness in the sight of the Israelites, you will not bring this assembly into the land I have given them. These are the waters of Meribah," which means, I think, quarreling, where the Israelites quarreled with the Lord, and he demonstrated his holiness to them. So again, for this one thing that he did before God, now Moses will not enter into the promised land, who's been faithful this whole time. Again, God is establishing himself in holiness before the people. Verse 14, Moses sent messengers from Kadesh to the king of Edom. "This is what your brother Israel says. Now know all the hardships that have overtaken us. Our ancestors went to Egypt, and we lived in Egypt many years, but the Egyptians treated us and our ancestors badly. And when we cried to the Lord, he heard our plea and sent an angel and brought us out of Egypt. Now look, we are in Kadesh, a city on the border of your territory. Please, let us travel through your land. We won't travel through any field or vineyard or drink any well water. We'll travel the king's highway, and we won't turn to the right or to the left until we have traveled through your territory." But Edom, again, remember, their family, answered him, "You will not travel through our land, or we will come out and confront you with the sword." "We will go on the main road," the Israelites replied to them. "And if we or our herds drink your water, we will pay its price. There will be no problem. Only let us travel through on foot." Yet Edom insisted, "You may not travel through." And they came out to confront them with a large force of heavily armed people. And Edom refused to allow Israel to travel through their territory, and Israel turned away from them. After they set out from Kadesh, the entire Israelite community came to Mount Hor. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron at Mount Hor, on the border of the land of Edom, Aaron will be gathered to his people. He will not enter the land I have given to the Israelites, because you both rebelled against my command at the waters of Meribah. Take Aaron and his son Eleazar and bring them up on Mount Hor. Remove Aaron's garments and put them on his son Eleazar, and Aaron will be gathered to his people and die there. Again, the removing of the garments, it's also called the mantle. This is a way to show that that his power and authority is moving from one person to another. So Moses did as the Lord commanded, and they climbed Mount Hor in the sight of the whole community. After Moses removed Aaron's garments and put them on his son Eleazar, Aaron died there on top of the mountain. Then Moses and Eleazar came down from the mountain. Yep, that's all the notes. When the whole community saw that Aaron had passed away, the entire house of Israel mourned him for 30 days. Let's move on to Psalms 58 through 59. Do you really speak righteously, you mighty ones? Do you judge people fairly? No. You practice injustice in your hearts. There we go. I want to make sure we don't lose the notes. With your hands you weigh out violence in the land. The wicked go astray from the womb. Liars wander about from birth. They have venom like the venom of a snake, like the deaf cobra that stops its ears, that does not listen to the sound of charmers, who skillfully weave spells. God, knock the teeth out of their mouths. Lord, tear out the young lion's fangs. May they vanish like water that flows by. May they aim their blunted arrows like a slug that moves along in slime. Like a woman's miscarried child, may they not see the sun. Before your pots can feel the heat of the thorns, whether green or burning, he will sweep them away. The righteous one will rejoice when he sees the retribution. He will wash his feet in the blood of the wicked. Then the people will say, yes, there is a reward for the righteous. There is a God who judges on earth. Now Psalm 59. Rescue me from my enemies, my God. Protect me from those who rise up against me. Rescue me from evildoers, and save me from men of bloodshed. Because look, Lord, they set an ambush for me. Powerful men attack me, but not because of any sin or rebellion of mine. For no fault of mine, they run and take up a position. Awake to help me and take notice. Lord of armies, Lord of hosts, you are the God of Israel. Rise up to punish all the nations. Do not show favor to any wicked traitors. They turn at evening, snarling like dogs, and prowling around the city. Look, they spew from their mouths sharp words from their lips. Making sure I don't lose notes. Sharp words from their lips. For who, they say, will hear? But you laugh at them, Lord. You ridicule all the nations. I will keep watch for you, my strength, because God is my stronghold. My faithful God will come to meet me. God will let me look down on my adversaries. Do not kill them, otherwise people will forget, or my people will forget. By your power, make them homeless wanderers, and bring them down, Lord, our shield. For the sin of their mouths and the word of their lips, let them be caught in their pride. They utter curses and lies. Consume them in a fury. Consume them until they are gone. Then the people will know throughout the earth that God rules over Jacob. And they return at evening, snarling like dogs and prowling around the city. They scavenge for food. They growl if they are not satisfied. But I will sing of your strength and will joyfully proclaim your faithful love in the morning. For you have been a stronghold for me, a refuge in my day of trouble. To you, my strength, I sing praises, because God is my stronghold, my faithful God. Now, Isaiah chapter 9, verse 8 through chapter 10, verse 4. The Lord sent a message against Jacob. It came against Israel. All the people. Okay, so now remember, we've been talking mostly before about Jerusalem and Judah. Now we're talking about Israel. All the people, Ephraim and the inhabitants of Samaria, will know it. They will say with pride and arrogance, the bricks have fallen, but we will rebuild with cut stones. The sycamores have been cut down, but we will replace them with cedars. The Lord has raised up Rezin's adversaries against him and stirred up his enemies. Aram from the east and Philistia from the west have consumed Israel with open mouths. In all this, his anger has not turned away. His hand is raised to strike. The people did not turn to him who struck them. They did not seek the Lord of armies. So the Lord cut off Israel's head and tail, palm branch and reed in a single day. The head is the elder, the honored one. The tail is the prophet, the one teaching lies. The leaders of the people mislead them, and those they misled are swallowed up. Therefore, the Lord does not rejoice over Israel's young men, and has no compassion on its fatherless and widows. For everyone is a godless evildoer, and every mouth speaks folly. In all this, his anger has not turned away, and his hand is raised to strike. For wickedness burns like a fire, and consumes thorns and briars, and kindles the forest thickets, so that they go up in a column of smoke. The land is scorched by the wrath of the Lord of armies, and the people are like fuel for the fire. No one has compassion on his brother. They carve meat on the right, but they are still hungry. They have eaten on the left, but they are still not satisfied. Each one eats the flesh of his own arm. Manasseh eats Ephraim, Ephraim eats Manasseh. Together both are against Judah. In all this, his anger has not turned away, and his hand is still raised to strike. Woe to those enacting crooked statutes and writing oppressive laws, to keep the poor from getting a fair trial, and to deprive the needy among my people of justice, so that widows can be their spoil and they can plunder the fatherless. What will you do on the day of judgment? What will you do on the day of punishment, when devastation comes from far away? Who will you run to for help? Where will you leave your wealth? There will be nothing to do except crouch among the prisoners or fall among the slain. In all this, his anger has not turned away, and his hand is still raised to strike. Now, James chapter 3. Not many should become teachers, my brothers, because you know that we will receive a stricter judgment. For we all stumble in many ways. If anyone does not stumble in what he says, well, he is mature, able also to control the whole body. Now, if we put bits into the mouths of horses so that they obey us, we direct their whole bodies. And consider ships, though very large and driven by fierce winds, they're guided by a very small rudder wherever the will of the pilot directs. So too, the tongue is a small part of the body. It boasts great things. I'm going to restate that. So too, though the tongue is a small part of the body, it boasts great things. Consider how small a fire sets ablaze a large forest. I'm going to restate that again. Consider how a small fire sets ablaze a large forest. And the tongue is a fire. The tongue, a world of unrighteousness, is placed among our members. It stains the whole body and sets the course of life on fire, and itself is set on fire by hell. Every kind of animal, bird, reptile, and fish is tamed, and it has been tamed by humankind. But no one can tame the tongue. It is a restless evil, full of deadly poison. With the tongue, we bless our Lord and Father, and with it we curse people who are made in God's image, in God's likeness. Blessing and cursing come out of the same mouth. My brothers and sisters, these things should not be this way. Does a spring pour out both bitter and sweet water from the same opening? Can a fig tree produce olives, my brothers and sisters, or a grapevine produce figs? Neither can a saltwater spring yield fresh water. Who among you is wise and understanding? By his good conduct, he should show that his works are done in the gentleness that comes from wisdom. But you have bitter envy and selfish ambition in your heart. Don't boast and deny the truth. Such wisdom does not come down from above, but is earthly, unspiritual, demonic. For where there is envy and selfish ambition, there is disorder and every evil practice. But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peace-loving, gentle, compliant, full of mercy and good fruits, unwavering and without pretense. And the fruit of unrighteousness is sown in peace by those who cultivate peace. Pulling up the rest of the notes here for you. And there we go. All right, that is all for today. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. Behold, the word of the Lord.